All right, so today I want to talk about something pretty important to me because it serves as the foundation of most of my coaching, and that's the concept of a comfort zone or personal goals in poker. And around 6 years ago, I think it was around 6 years ago, somebody had bought their husband a private poker lesson with me, and he came in for a couple sessions. And the guy comes in, he starts talking about some hands he played, and I was like, "Listen, dude, you're horrible. Like you're a really bad poker player." And he was like laughing, and he was trying to explain to me, and I was telling him like, "You need to fold there. You can't raise. You got to call. I'm sorry, you can't call. You can't raise. You got to fold. You just got to fold that hand." And the guy stopped me and he said, "Listen, Blake," he's like, "I understand exactly what you're saying. I get the fact that, what I'm doing is not profitable over the long run." And he said something like, "I'm really wealthy. I make a good amount of money every month." Like, the guy made like ridiculous amount of money. It was like a couple $100,000 a month. And he says, "Every once in a while, I like to sit down with my friends and I like to play poker and I basically like to blow some money, right?" And I was like, "Yes, I understand, but you're playing a game over the long run, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing all this stuff." And he's like, "Blake, you don't understand. Like, I enjoy playing this style." And I had this moment where I sat there and I was kind of like, I get it. Like, everybody approaches this game differently. Not everybody wants to be a professional poker player. Not everybody wants to take certain lines. Everybody's different. So I built a style for him where he was basically super, super, super hyper lag crazy kind of player. Right, loose aggressive, put people into a ton of spots, and he was like, "Thank you so much. It helped me immensely." And that kind of was a big moment for me because I was like, "All right, I'm not only teaching poker, I'm teaching players a version of poker or a style that works for them, right? Their circumstances, where they are in life, so on and so forth." And it really raised this notion of what I call this poker comfort zone, right? So the analogy of a comfort zone is you'll read a book that will tell you that you need to do X, Y, and Z in this spot. And they're 100% right. You kind of do need to do X, Y, Z in that spot. However, they don't take into consideration your comfort zone. So, for example, some players, I literally think that for some players, some super tight players, they should probably just fold, like open fold ace jack, like from every position. Like, and the reason why is if they raise with ace jack and they get one caller and the board comes ace 2 3, which is a pretty sexy flop for ace jack, and they lead out and they get re-raised and their opponent is like, and they're thinking about their opponent's range, like, "I don't know, I think he or she's got ace queen or ace king," then they can't play ace jack. And this is the thing, for you really rational people out there and you really like, rational poker players, you're saying to yourself, like, how can you do that? Like, what are you, stupid? They don't have ace queen, ace king that often. They probably don't have a set, blah, blah, blah. But you need to understand that there's this big difference between reality or I'm sorry, there's a really big difference between knowing what's the right thing to do and then actually doing it. And I've seen so many players that are they get this concept, but they won't actually apply it at the table because of some sort of underlying concept about comfort zone. So I've seen really talented players who have issues with losing money, really talented players who make a ton of money, and there's just something in their day-to-day life, and there's just something about the uncertainty of poker or the uncertainty of making that bet that makes them timid and makes them want to check. And it's so interesting is that, part of being a really effective coach is not just teaching people how to play the game, right? Anybody can do that, in my opinion. Like, what's really effective and what's really important when you're looking for coaching or looking for someone to develop you is to look at the underlying causes of why they are playing that game or why they are doing those things or why they are failing to live up to their potential. So like you're trying to see what that person could become, not what they necessarily are right now. And it was a concept that it fascinates me because of the fact that like you could tell a very smart person this is the line you should take, but they actually can't do it in real time because of their comfort zone. And the best way to combat your comfort zone is to push it. Is to slowly push your comfort zone and realize that you have that and gain a feedback mechanism or a feedback loop for, "Oh wow, I know what I'm doing, I'm comfortable doing that." So a lot of players, like, I mean, some of you might have a really difficult time playing like mid pairs is probably one of the biggest hands that I see people. That's like comfort zone, right? They raise with pocket eights, they get a caller, board's 9 3 6. You think you're good, but in the back of your head, you're like, I don't know. I think that player might have a 9. And no matter what, even though you could read all the stats you want, but you still can't actually apply it. You still can't actually take the right line or make the right move. And I think one of the most effective ways to really work on that is just through sheer information. Like the more information you learn, the more you're informed about what makes a good and bad decision at the table, the easier you can start to move out of your comfort zone, right? And this is not just in poker. This is in life in general. Like information allows us to move outside of our own comfort zones. And I'm personally trying to push my comfort zone. So one of the things I'm doing right now is, I've been playing No Limit Hold'em since, like, No Limit Hold'em has been part of my life probably every single day since the age of around 17. Like, poker's been a big area of my life, whether it's coaching, teaching, writing, playing. I mean, and all I've played is No Limit Hold'em. That's it. No Limit Hold'em, and occasionally some PLO. I'm a decent PLO player, but like nowhere near. I don't believe it's at the same par. So like in terms of pushing my comfort zone, I'm learning to play the mixed games. All right, I want to be proficient at like do 7 and high low and all these other various games, so I could really hold my own. And it's so interesting that like even when I jump into those games, I constantly I'm saying to myself like this kind of thinking is outside my comfort zone. I kind of have to coach myself or look at it myself and call out those areas where I am at the edge of what I consider to be comfortable for me. Meaning like I have no problem leading out on a pretty dry board and Hold'em, but then in PLO it's like a whole different game. I mean, there's different factors at play. So I just want you to you should really think about where your comfort zone is with poker, right? And that might be, listen, your comfort zone might be when you're just sitting down at the table, you're having a hard time. Like you might get nervous, might get anxious, and no matter where you are, you should slowly ease into what feels comfortable, because the only way you play good poker is when you're comfortable. And the number one way I exploit, push, and take advantage of players when I'm playing live is I just look at them and I push them out of their comfort zone. And a lot of this is post-flop, turn and river decisions where I know that they're in a spot where they're like, damn, what did I do? And that's perfect. So like as a coach and as a player, I'm always trying to see where people's comfort zones are and push them. I hope that was helpful. I mean, post below what comfort zone issues you might have. And listen, you have no idea how much this stuff messes up with your ability to extract value, right? You got pocket threes, the board comes 3-2-6. You're so excited, you flop the set. You don't want anything to happen to that set. So what do? You bet pot just because you want the hand over with. How many times I've seen players like, instead of sitting there and thinking how much money can I get out of this player, they just shove because they just so excited that they have a good hand. That's a comfort zone issue. That's not a technical issue. You could explain that to that person. They'll mostly get it, but people still do the same thing over and over and over again because they're afraid. They're basically afraid. That's about it. Any questions? If you want to post issues about your comfort zone or what you think could improve your comfort zone, post below.